Have you ever watched the sunrise quiet, steady, unfailing, long before anyone else wakes up? It rises not to impress, but because it simply knows it has a purpose. Today, I want to talk about a sunrise story, the story of countless women who rise every morning, not because the world applauds them, but because their heart says, I must rise. Have you ever noticed how the strongest pillars of a building are buried deep underground, unseen, unappreciated, yet carrying the entire weight above them? In the same way, some of the strongest souls walk among us quietly. They smile, they work, they serve, they endure, and very few people realize how heavy the load is on their hearts. Today, I want to speak about a woman who fights a battle that makes no noise, leaves no headlines, and earns no applause. Every morning she wakes up before her strength does. Her body moves, but her heart feels tired. She does not wait for motivation, because motivation often forgets her address. She does not wait for encouragement, because silence has become her daily companion. She simply gets up, gathers her broken courage, and tells herself, just one more day. Not because life is easy, but because giving up feels heavier than continuing. People see her responsibilities, but not her fears. They notice her mistakes, but not her sacrifices. They judge her weakness, but never measure her wounds. When she falls, the world tells her to be strong. When she cries, the world tells her to be quiet. Slowly she learns a painful lesson. Sometimes the deepest support does not come from outside, but from a small voice within that whispers, you are still needed. There are nights when her pillow knows her better than any human being. Tears flow without sound, questions rise without answers, and prayers leave her lips without guarantees. She wonders if her dreams were too big, if her heart was too soft, if her expectations were too human. Yet, even in doubt, she does not stop believing completely. A tiny candle of hope continues to burn, even when storms try to blow it out. It is easy to be kind when life is kind. It is easy to smile when things are going well. But when support disappears, when understanding becomes rare, and when appreciation turns into neglect, and still she chooses to remain gentle, that is not weakness. That is spiritual strength. That is emotional bravery. You see, pressure does not just break people. Sometimes it builds them. Fire does not only destroy gold, it purifies it. And loneliness, though painful, teaches a woman how powerful her own company can be. She learns to become her own friend, her own guide, her own shoulder to lean on. One day, life will look at her and ask, how did you survive when no one stood beside you? And she will not answer with anger. She will not answer with pride. She will simply smile and say, I trusted that my pain had a purpose. If you are that woman, walking quietly with storms in your chest and courage in your steps, remember this, your struggle is not invisible to existence itself. Your tears are not wasted. Your patience is not foolish. You are not late. You are not weak. You are being shaped. And when the right season arrives, the same world that ignored your struggle will be inspired by your strength. Until then, walk gently, but walk forward. Even alone, a determined heart can change its destiny. Sometimes the most painful battles are not fought on noisy streets or crowded stages, but in quiet rooms where no one is watching. A woman sits there holding her worries the way one holds fragile glass, carefully, silently, afraid that if she speaks too loudly, everything inside her might shatter. The world may call her ordinary, but her heart knows the weight of mountains. She wakes up each day carrying invisible luggage. Inside it are responsibilities, disappointments, unanswered questions, and dreams that have learned to wait patiently. There is no audience for her effort, no certificate for her endurance, no reward for choosing courage over comfort. Still, she rises, not because she feels powerful, but because life does not pause to ask how tired she is. Many people think strength is loud. They imagine it as confidence, bold words, or dramatic victories. But real strength often whispers. It says, I am scared, but I will move forward. It says, I am broken, but I will still try. It says, I feel alone, but I will not become bitter. This kind of strength does not shine like fireworks. It glows like a small lamp in a dark room, steady and dependable. There are moments when she questions herself. She wonders if she is expecting too much from life, if her kindness is mistaken for weakness, if her silence is misunderstood as acceptance. She watches others lean on families, friends, and partners, while she learns how to lean on her own breath, her own faith, her own quiet resilience. And slowly, without realizing it, she becomes her own shelter. Loneliness teaches lessons no classroom can offer. It shows her that her worth is not measured by how many people stand beside her, but by how strongly she stands when no one does. It teaches her that not every wound needs an explanation, and not every tear needs an audience. Some healing happens in private, where the soul speaks honestly to itself. She does not hate the world for ignoring her pain. Instead, she grows softer, wiser, more compassionate. Because when you have known emptiness, you learn how precious even small joys are. A warm cup of tea, a quiet prayer, a moment of peace before sleep, these become victories. These become proof that life, even in its hardness, still offers gentle corners to rest. One day her story will not be about how lonely she was, but about how deeply she grew. People will see her calm and call it confidence. They will see her kindness and call it grace. They will see her stability and call it luck. Very few will know that all of this was built on nights when she wanted to give up, but chose to breathe once more. If you recognize yourself in this story, and know that your silence is not weakness, it is preparation. Your tears are not a sign of defeat, they are evidence that your heart is still alive, still capable of love, still capable of hope. Walk gently, but do not stop. Even without support, even without applause, your journey has meaning. And sometimes, the most beautiful strength is the one that grows quietly, unnoticed, but unbreakable. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot cure. It settles quietly in the heart, not in the body. A woman carries it with her while cooking, while working, while smiling at others, while telling herself that everything is fine. The world sees her moving, functioning, managing, but it does not see the weight she lifts inside her chest every single day. She has learned to be strong in a language that has no words. When her heart wants to complain, her mind tells her to stay silent. When her eyes want to cry, her pride teaches them how to smile. Slowly, she becomes an expert in hiding storms behind calm weather, not because she enjoys pretending, but because explaining her pain again and again is more exhausting than enduring it alone. Support is a beautiful gift, but not everyone receives it. Some are chosen for a different lesson: how to stand without leaning, how to walk without being held, how to believe when no one is clapping. This lesson is painful, but it creates a different kind of human being. Someone who does not collapse when plans fail. Someone who does not shatter when people leave. Someone who understands that life can be unfair, yet still worth respecting. There are nights when she talks to herself more honestly than she talks to anyone else. She asks questions she is afraid to ask out loud. Am I enough? Will this pain ever end? Does anyone truly see me? And in the silence that follows, there is no clear answer. Only her breathing, only her heartbeat, only her decision to survive another day. People often think that those who suffer alone become cold. But many women become softer. They become gentle because they know how sharp the world can be. They become patient because they know how long nights can be. They become kind because they know what it feels like to need kindness and not receive it. Their hearts, instead of turning into stone, turn into deep rivers, quiet on the surface, powerful within. She does not announce her victories. Sometimes her biggest victory is getting out of bed. Sometimes it is holding back tears in public. Sometimes it is choosing not to hate those who misunderstood her. These small acts may look ordinary, but they require extraordinary courage. Life will not always be this heavy. Seasons change, even when it feels like winter has settled forever. The woman who learns to walk alone today is preparing herself to walk with wisdom tomorrow. The pain that bends her is also shaping her. The loneliness that follows her is also teaching her. If you are listening to these words and your heart feels familiar with this silence, remember something gentle and true. You were not made weak because you are unsupported. You were made strong because you continued anyway. You do not need the whole world to believe in you. It is enough if, at the end of a difficult day, you can look into your own tired eyes and say, I did not give up. And sometimes that is the bravest prayer a human being can offer. Some wounds do not bleed. They only make the heart heavier. A woman carries such wounds quietly, the way the earth carries seeds in darkness before they become flowers. From the outside, her life may look ordinary. She does her duties, answers politely, smiles when required. But inside her, there is a long conversation between hope and exhaustion that never really ends. She has learned to calculate her tears, not because they are few, but because privacy is rare. So she saves them for the night, when the world is asleep and expectations are silent. During the day, she wears courage like simple clothing, nothing fancy, nothing dramatic, just enough to survive another round of responsibilities. No one teaches her how to do this. Life becomes her teacher. Pain becomes her instructor. Support is something people talk about easily, like air. But when it is missing, you realize how precious it was. She watches others lean on shoulders, share their burdens, and rest their hearts in safe places. She smiles for them. Then she goes home and leans on her own strength, which she never asked to develop but had to. Sometimes she wonders if being strong was her only option or just her destiny. Because when help does not arrive, strength slowly stops being a choice. It becomes a habit, a quiet discipline, a daily prayer without words. There are moments when she feels invisible, like a page no one reads in a book full of noise. She asks herself if her efforts matter, if her struggles count, if her existence leaves any gentle mark on this rushing world. But even when doubt sits beside her, she still does what needs to be done. That is her rebellion against despair. People misunderstand her silence. They think she is distant. They think she is proud. They think she is unaffected. They do not know that silence is sometimes the last safe place for a tired heart. Talking would require explaining, and explaining would require reopening wounds that are barely healing. Yet something beautiful happens in this loneliness. Her mind becomes clear. Her values become simple. Her heart becomes deep. She stops chasing approval and starts respecting her own efforts. She learns that dignity is not given by others, it is practiced within. She learns that even broken wings remember how to heal. One day, life will place her in a situation where her strength will look like magic to others. They will say, "You are so calm, you are so mature, you handle everything so well." They will not see the nights that trained her for this calm. They will not hear the inner voice that kept telling her to stand when sitting down would have been easier. If you are walking this path today, know this gently. You are not forgotten by existence. You are not weak for wanting support. You are not strange for feeling tired. You are human, and still you are standing. That itself is proof that something sacred lives inside you. Something that refuses to collapse. Something that knows that even without hands to hold, the heart can still move forward, and sometimes that quiet movement is the beginning of a powerful transformation. So to every woman listening, if you feel alone today, remember, the universe never abandons the one who refuses to abandon herself. Your silent battles are not setbacks, they are the quiet forging of your character, your hope, your future. And one day when life asks, "Who made you so strong?" your heart will smile and say, "The struggle did, and so did I." Rise, not for applause, but for your own becoming. Your battle may be silent, but your victory will be a loud testimony.